doing, so we're just duplicating the exact same thing down. Oh, record this. Yes,
I
we
got
can
it.
record. Okay, perfect. And just FYI, Sean and I, for some reason, I don't know what's up, but we're having crazy internet issues the past 2 days. So if something happens, we'll be back and keep talking. Hopefully it'll be fine.
Yeah, it worked the last half of my talk with Leslie, so I think we're good.
Okay, I hope so.
Everything should be reset now.
Hopefully.
If anything, you guys, I know an internet guy.
Yes, you
can
do.
call.
Boom. Look at that. She got a little light in her eyes when she was talking about the internet guy. Oh my gosh.
Need any strings pulled, we could probably do that. I don't know.
Like,
I don't know what we could do, but something.
I always
love it.
know, I know the first step that they're always going to have me do is unplug and plug back in stuff. So I always start there, and that usually does fix what my problem is. So, do you guys have any suggestions on anything that we need to improve for the Monday night or do a little bit different? Did it feel rushed time-wise? Felt good about it?
I think it was good. It was Amy and Tanya did so good. It was just so good. And I mean, I had some anxiety even about going through it, but myself and Susie and I are going to meet after this and figure out how we want that to look like on Monday. But it was just very, very good. I don't think there's anything that can be done any better at this point.
Okay. So just roll with it.
Are plugging in and using the tools that are right there instead of having to recreate any of it.
Yeah. Did anything feel as you guys were doing it like that you would have changed on it after having done it?
No, except for now I have enough confidence that I could probably do it myself if we go through this again. But it was so nice because Tanya was able to run the technology portion of it. That took a lot of weight off my shoulders.
Good. Yep. Perfect. All right. All right. So anything else before we jump into this week's Leslie, Susie, you need? You're good? And then week 2 was the visualization, right?
Belief and visual.
Belief and visualization, right?
Yep.
Cool. All right.
That is those stars. So let Sean and I know if you guys need anything before Monday. We'll rock it out. It's kind of fun to look back. Like I've got my little notebook here and I'm like, whew. So let's just all be proud of ourselves. Like let's seriously just have a moment of celebration, because as I was just looking back at like the goals that I've already written, like let's just look to where and celebrate that and be super proud, because it's cool. Because even this morning I was like continuing to write things and I was in my head judging, like, why don't I have this even fine-tuned more? Why don't and then shoot, like we really need, looking back at this, like, dang, we've come a long way in just a short amount of time with just specific things.
I'm glad you're feeling that way too, because I've been, I'm a perfectionist. So yeah. I've been a little bit hard on myself with this. It's been hard for me to step back and be like, just do it as it comes. It's going to continue to evolve and change. And even if it's not completely all filled out, like there's parts that I've still submitted that are blank because I don't know. I'm still growing and it's evolving. And I'm like, it's okay for everything not to be filled in. I have to be okay with that as I figure it out. So I don't know if you all are having any of that going on over in your neck of the woods. So I'm glad to hear you say that, Michelle, because that kind of gives me a little grace and makes me feel like I can breathe a little bit, that it's just not complete,
Yes. Good.
I think I'm totally 100% on the same page there. But what's really neat, and what I'm recognizing, is just by going through the action, I'm becoming more intentional with the people I want mentoring me. It's like already the actions are starting to happen. Like this, re-listening to Jim Rohn's training. I mean, like I've just been slowly going back and listening to it again this week, like chunk by chunk, and I'm like mind blown. Like how many times have I listened to this and here I needed to hear that again today. Like I wanted, that just spoke to what I was going through right now in this moment, like that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't been studying mentors.
Nice.
I love that. Anything else? Susie? Tanya said ditto. I'll pull the chat up so we can make sure that.
Yeah, same here. I was listening to Earl Nightingale today as I was getting ready, and I know you send it out every month at the beginning of the month, Michelle, and that's awesome. But I feel like listening to it more often, like Amy said, pulling out different pieces where you've heard it so many times, but then in that moment, something speaks to you. You're like, oh, like mind blown how like you needed to hear that at that moment, and it just changes things. Your perspective, like it flips the switch, right?
Yeah. The awareness, I think, is so beautiful with this whole journey too. And even with the finding mentors, I feel like the past, and I don't know if it's, I mean, we all have stuff, right? I could make all these excuses of our house and life and summer, like all this stuff. And so I haven't had like a focus of 1 or 2 or 3 specific mentors that I'm constantly listening to. I've had just a bunch of stuff. I mean, I've constantly been doing it, but it's been a bunch of stuff and it's been good. But going back and doing this finding mentors and being like, oh, of course, like if I want to get to this goal and be super intentional on it, like these are the people that I should just be drilling in on and really, really focused if I want to get to that point. So that for me was and is still very, very good of being aware. And now I need to be intentional on those specific people.
You know what I like? She said too, she was talking about like, for me, like, you know, I'm trying to wrap up Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule, and I made it to the chapter where she talks about anxiety and like how to overcome anxiety with, you know, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. Well, that really doesn't apply to me at all. I mean, knock on wood, I've never really experienced anxiety a day in my life. So I'm kind of like, do I really even want to waste my time reading this chapter of this book? So I love that she says that, you know, you might find somebody who speaks to you and they write a book and then you start listening to their podcast and you might find something else that, you know, or you may kind of go down this rabbit trail and connect with somebody else that is more customized to what you need. I love that just because you connect with an author or somebody on one level with something, that you don't have to really stay there with them if they're not, you know, kind of drilling into you what you need. I like that a lot.
Yes. So good. Tanya, I know you're driving. If there's anything, we'll keep an eye on the chat. But through this mentor phase, I mean, did you guys feel like you were able to find some people that were specific to your goals or that kind of grabbed you or surprised you for where you want to be spending time?
And also, were there areas that you didn't find one to plug in there?
I don't know.
Hi, guys.
I feel like I'm only, go ahead, Amy.
Tanya, I think.
Tanya, go ahead.
Yeah, of course we stop for a potty break when I get on this. Anyway, the one thing that was important to me, of course, were to have like faith-based mentors so that I can stay grounded as I try to hustle so much in my business. So that was easy for me. But what I'm struggling with is like, I just really want to find, there's a lot of people out there that talk about like investments and money and all that stuff, but so many times it's like over my head. And I would love to find like that girl or that woman that like speaks in layman's terms about money and finances and investing. I know, you know what I mean? I know Dave Ramsey does too, but just like that chick that's got it together, like speaks my language. And I would love to find that same female when it comes to health, because I find so many times it's easy to say who you think your like mentor should be when it comes to health and everything that we want to continue to build our knowledge in to build the business. But so many times it's so deep and so scientific. And I don't know, I would love to find someone that's a little more relatable in that area too. So I'd love to hear what you guys thought of in that regard.
Trying to think, because there is somebody, and I want to say it was one of the ladies off of Shark Tank, but I don't think that that's right.
In specific regard to the finance?
Yes.
So I don't know, as you're thinking of that, Sean, you know, I look back at like the notes of the net worth.
Yeah.
Tanya, I don't know who this person is. I don't even know. I'm guessing it's a female, Lauren Powell Jobs. Have you looked at that recommendation, Tanya, at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I haven't
Su-
either.
Susie Orman is who I'm thinking of.
Oh, Susie Orman. Yeah.
It's
she's good.
SUZEORMAN. And I
Okay.
haven't listened to a ton of stuff, but I know she's super popular.
Okay, perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I used back in the day when I used to turn on the Today Show in the morning while I would be up getting people ready and stuff. She used to be on there as well, and I was always impressed. And Tanya, she did simplify things and really give.
Was she the person that Oprah Winfrey always talked about and used?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. And I think that would be a good thing too, though, just to see who else is out there, because we're gonna have, I think on the Monday call, that's gonna be the challenge when we do the 30-minute homework kind of Q&A, not this coming week, but the week after. Or this is several weeks. This is like a month and a half from now. But anyway, when we get to that kind of Q&A with them on this one, I think there are going to be a lot of blanks that people don't have. So being able to give suggestions of specific people that we put into ours is going to be really helpful for them. So it might be good on Facebook to just say, you know, hey, I've listened to a ton of Dave Ramsey. I'm looking for, you know, any females that you guys have heard and liked, and just see what kind of response that we can get back on Facebook for a couple of these mentor
Good idea.
areas.
Unless
Well,
I just,
something that I realized when I was putting mentors down and what they're reading and doing is like, okay, so I put the pose down and which books, Secret, GoPro, First Year, the podcast, Tony Robbins, Eric Worre, Strangest Secret, Jim Rohn, social media. Like you guys were the ones telling us what you were reading. Those, like, you know what I mean? Like if people are looking for mentors, just listen to what the mentor
Yeah.
is telling you to read.
For
It's kind
sure.
of what I had that aha moment, because like, you know, I've always considered Jim Rohn and Eric Worre a mentor, but you guys were the ones telling me to go plug into those. And I
Right.
just needed to listen.
And a lot of those we ripped off from other mentors of ours.
but
Well,
that's
and
the beauty of this. That's how the world works. I mean,
No, for
Tony
sure.
Robbins Tony Robbins always gives credit to Jim Rohn, you know, and Tony started at one place. He didn't just wake up and suddenly be Tony. A lot of his stuff he learned from Jim.
And Jim
other.
Rohn was giving credit to Zig Ziglar and
Yeah.
Bob Heelig. Bob Heelig's thing that I just took from him on like how one-on-one sessions are actually killing you in your business. You need to do a group session. He got that from Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, that's all of this. It's like, I think the big aha moment is if we're teaching this to our team, hey, are you guys doing what we're telling? Are you listening to what we're saying we're listening to?
Right.
Because if you want to get where, you know, if I want to get to where you've gone, I got to do what you've done.
And maybe this is an important thing to write in all of our notes now for whoever is doing this week, that aha moment that you had, Amy, because it's true. Like I'll look to whatever Carrie Dickey told me to do, I did. Literally, if she told me to go do this, I did it immediately. Like I literally dropped everything and just started doing it.
And
But-
at times, you know, she would actually send us the book.
Yeah.
Like that was a lot of, like if we had a birthday or anything like that, she would write a message in the book and send it to us. And she would
Well, when
send
we
it
hit Pro 7, she gave us The Greatest Networker in the World. And honestly, I was never a big reader. I just have squirrel brain anyway. But because she gave it to me, I immediately read it and I could not put that book down. And I just referred it to Brian Carruthers yesterday. I said he was having a struggle with one of his new people that was having a hard time with belief. And so I said, have them read this book. So as mentors of other people, that's such a great thing, Sean, that you bring up, that we should remind ourselves that we needed those things. And are we remembering to share those things with our team as well?
Is that on audio?
The Greatest Networker?
I feel like I've heard it, but maybe.
I think actually, Kevin, when we were kind of going through book series stuff, because we've got like that book club group, I think he put the audio in that group.
Okay.
I feel like he did. The book is amazing.
Yeah.
It changed my vision of network marketing immediately.
That was like the easiest book I've ever read. And I was so grateful for that book because I too, I'm trying to be, that's what I love so much about this exercise. Like I appreciate this exercise. No one's ever asked these kind of questions. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it just, when I go through this, it makes me be so much more intentional on like funneling in on, do I have to be following all of these people, or how much more beneficial it will be to just follow a select few and become experts of what they teach? Because I've been so good too in the past of like, there's so many that you follow and then you take a few good things, or you get a book and you read the first 2 chapters and you're like, how can it get any better? This is so good. And then you go and teach it. But how much of an expert are you if you didn't read the whole book and you didn't really like absorb the whole thing? So I don't know. I love what this is doing for me and my mindset as well, as far as just becoming an expert of the people that I know are helping me move forward and make me feel good for the sake of my team and for the sake of people that do come to you.
That's amazing, Tanya. And it just, as you were speaking, it reminded me of, and you've been through Tony's UPW, but through all of Tony's stuff, it's the science of immersion, right? I mean, that's when it truly gets ingrained. There's a reason why he does the trainings back to back to back and literally all day and all night, is to get that immersion. So as you were saying that, it just is reminding me of being immersed in specific people's work and getting really clear on it.
Hey, I have an idea. So I got a little challenge for you all.
Ooh.
Pick your top 5 books that you like and either put them in the chat, in our 10X chat on Messenger, or if you have the books in your house, take a picture of them. I'm going to create an album for the team in One Person Big Difference so they can go and see what the books look like. That way, if they want to engage, and we can just put that up as an album of a referral source for, books that successful network marketers read. Monkey see, monkey do.
Love it.
Love it.
Boom.
And then I would challenge you guys as well too on some of these areas. Ask your husband who they would consider, because you're going to get a different viewpoint than the massive representation that we have from females here. Because like one of the people on my list, I doubt any of you guys have, is Joe Rogan. And I know that he's a huge person that males follow.
He's a smart dude. He's in your face.
Brilliant. He's a little bit out
think
there
a lot of
stuff, but
I think a lot of men connect with Gary. Is it Vander?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
He's very in your face as well. He can be a little bit much for me sometimes, but and I'm pretty wide open. But a lot of men like him.
Yeah.
And I noticed the other day, I don't know if you guys realize this, but Facebook is using like they almost have their version of Clubhouse with these rooms. He had a version on Facebook the other day where you could go in and it was just like Clubhouse and everybody was having conversations in there. Did you all realize that Facebook had those rooms?
So I've seen stuff come up, but I have never looked into it. So no, I didn't really.
It's very much the same.
Of course. I think when we were out with Grant Cardone, he kind of called that, didn't he, Sean?
yeah. Well, we saw the same exact thing with Periscope. Periscope was Facebook Live, and Facebook came out with it and destroyed Periscope.
Leslie, who was the second guy you said? Leslie, Susie's asking. Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, you guys, some of these, on the belief, if you printed it out or if you need to go back, it's got some of the different names that we're talking about. So Gary's on there, just as a reminder in case you need to go back and look. My fancy little binder.
Oh, and I was telling Sean and Michelle, because I know I have personally been doing a lot. I know Sean and Michelle has with The Secret. We've really been kind of immersing ourselves with that. So as you know, I went through this exercise and I was looking, there's actually an app for The Secret. It's called Secret Super. I'll put it in the chat, Secret Super app. And it is so cool because all of these, you can customize it to yourself. So like all of these, techniques and goals that we have been writing down, I'll put this in the chat too. I'll put mine in there. You can actually put your, what you want your desires to be, and you can like mark them off as they become reality. And you can even schedule every day what time you want affirmations to come through, gratitude, reminding you to do gratitude, all of these cool things that come through on the app because we're so attached to our phones, right? And there's even like little short snippets of videos in there from The Secret, and they're like 47 seconds long, and it's just like a quick minute video that you could watch, when you jump in the car. I'm obsessed. Like I can't wait to start using this and kind of daily integrating it into my life so that way, if I don't have time to watch The Secret every day, because it is an investment, an hour and a half into your day, it's another way just to like work it into your life and just like keep it at the forefront.
I love that. Thank you. I see it in the chat. That looks amazing. And the little extras, like the 47 seconds. And you're right. I mean, with it, that's why I don't get through like the whole thing in the morning. That's why I bring like the iPad with me to different, in the morning, or then at night I listen to it. Or if I take a little bath, I'll play it, or it's just little bits and pieces. So that's
What
cool.
was the name of it again? I'm just
Super
gonna
Secret.
download it.
Look in the chat, baby.
Chat. I don't see it.
It's
It's
Secret
Super
Super app.
On your phone chat, baby.
Oh, I'm not doing that, lady. We're right here.
In the Zoom chat. Oh my gosh.
As I was looking for it, you guys, on my Apple app store, there's the Secret to Money app too. That looks interesting.
That's cool.
So Tanya, just kind of scrolling back, Tanya mentioned Ed Milet is another good one for men.
Yep.
I personally love Ed Milet as well. I absolutely love listening to his stuff. He is very, very strong for men, but he's got the feminine side as far as, gratitude, and just kind of, you can just feel his heart. He really, really cares and whatnot. Kyle loves Joe Rogan. Yeah.
Who's the guy that we saw in Mexico that we had seen stuff through Tony Robbins?
The guy we saw in Mexico.
He was on the same airplane and going through security with us. He does the Warrior.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
Oh, it's gonna bother me until I figure this out. He's really good too.
Joe Rogan, Leslie?
I'll come up with it.
And Joe, I mean,
Garrett something.
yeah, I didn't ever really know his name, but I just knew from,
Garrett White is his name.
Garrett White. Yeah, he's only men.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's pure men. What other people, you guys, as far as people that you wrote down, did you put down for your personal, professional, and financial goals that were specific for you guys?
Okay, so that was a thing because, last week they wanted us to talk about the 5 people that we spent the most time around.
Right.
But at the same time, like the same people that I spend my time around may not be the same people that I'm getting my personal development from. So that for me looked dramatically different. And I was actually giving myself permission to do that, because isn't that what we're supposed to do, is grow and refocus where we're spending our time. So mine looked dramatically different than what my list did like last week. I don't know if anybody else did.
Yes. I was even writing, more in there again today, about the people that I'm around, but then the people where I'm going towards. And a lot of the, the towards energy is through the people that we're talking about today. And
Are we talking about week 5, how to study mentors? Is that the worksheet we're on?
Yeah, I was just curious as far as for you guys, what other people came up for you as your mentors?
Because like for me, I spend the majority of my time around Bill, but I mean, at this point in my personal development, I'm way ahead of Bill. I mean, it's just, it is what it is.
Mhm.
And we actually had this conversation the other day because, you know, he was like, you know, I didn't do the social media thing with you. And I'm like, well, you're going to have to jump on in another room. And I'm like, there is a replay. I'm like, but I'm not going to beg you to do these things. Like, I'm not your secretary, you know, I'm your wife. But if you need me to remind you to jump on these things to keep you on task, I'm happy to do that, but I'm not going to nag you. So that's kind of like where we're at. So even though I spend so much time around him, he's not really, you know, in the same place personally developing as I am. So I had to just like mark that off the list for me.
Right.
Yeah, Grant didn't make this list this time.
Yeah.
I spent all the time with him, and I know he is such a good example because he gets up before the sun and he works out almost every single day. And I mean, like, in a sense, I could put him on that list of like, that's what he's doing. I'm not personally there yet to do that, but he inspires me because he's starting to look better than me, which is crazy. But then some of the other people that surprised me a little bit is my son is in this, it's called Challenge program for homeschool. And it's pretty intense. And it starts August 3rd. Like, I'm buckling up because I'm getting slightly nervous about it. And one of the mentors is Laura Amick, who is his tutor. And she is going above and beyond all of her tutor responsibilities to make sure that we know what we're doing and that we're going to be successful. And she's going to be really working with our children too to make sure they're set up for success. And so I'm like, I'm going to be learning from a fire hose from this woman starting August 3rd. And I've already learned a bunch. And then I wrote, so when it says mentor number 4, I have Keenan and Laura, because Keenan is one of my best friends who's starting this challenge program with me, and we're kind of working together, but she has more experience than I do. So I'm learning a ton from her as well on just how to homeschool. And so I kind of put them in one category, if that makes sense, and kind of doing what they both do. And then another one that kind of surprised me was Rachel Pekarik, because she filters all of my news for me. I don't watch the news, but I really align with her in a lot of areas in life. And she's always challenged me to, like, it kind of surprised me. I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? Even outside of LifeVantage, she's really, really, really grown me as a person in different categories and helped me in a lot of just random ways. And so I put her down, and like, even as far as like just cleaning up my water, cleaning up my EMFs, like doing these things that because of her influence, like my husband is on board with that. Yeah. And where it was really, really hard to get him to see and understand before. And so that was another mentor. Like, she's really helped us even financially, like, get wiser about where we're going and the visions that we have too, which is super interesting.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Who else wants to share from this week? The mentors. What else?
I will. I definitely had Rachel Pekarik as one of my chosen mentors too. And I think just looking at the worksheets on how to study mentors, I thought of her because of the podcast she has and social media channels she has with Instagram. And I would say probably mostly Instagram, but Facebook too. But just looking at, you know, kind of like those mentors that we could choose to follow on those different avenues, that was why I picked her. And Erica Dale also, she has a podcast that I've listened to a handful of times. And so I think that both of those leaders are really ones that I'm going to make sure to plug into. And then I talked about this last meeting too, is Jamie Kern Lima. After, you know, watching her speak on Tony Robbins, after reading her book, I just really feel that strong connection with her and her, just her drive to do what she did. And so, but I don't, you know, it's hard sometimes too, because I'm trying to think of like what other ways I could follow her other than social media and reading her book. And so I have to figure that out, kind of how how I'm going to be able to follow her a little bit more. I don't know if you guys have any comments or advice on that, but those are a couple. And then I chose Earl Nightingale too, just because of listening to that every month, listening to The Strangest Secret. And I think that is powerful. But I agree with Tanya. I love that Tanya said, pick a few and really study. Really, like, it was overwhelming to me to see this activity 2 and studying your mentors and seeing the 9 spots. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know how to do that because for me, I'm such a precisionist, right? So if I list too many, it's like that analyzation that I'm doing instead of just doing it. Like, I got to get out of my head and just do it. So if I have a few that I really can plug into, I think that will be beneficial for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and once you get, comfortable and that is a habit, then I think expanding that becomes easier. If you're going from 0 to 9 all at once, it is going to be difficult. But if you go from 4 to 5 and then 5 to 6, like, you will work your way up to all of that.
Mm-hmm. I love Emily. I think it goes by Barbara. She's as far as in network marketing, and you guys had mentioned social media and podcasts. She's, for me too, is just such a, in this profession, she's just very grounded and she's very much about the people and is very just, yeah, she's good. I love her energy a lot.
When it came to network marketing, for one, I love Bob Heilig. I just relate to him. And then I had to think about within LifeVantage as well. And for me, I don't want this to sound shady, but it's probably going to, but I like people that show up the same way they do behind closed doors. So I had the Pose, Carrie Williams, and the Cunninghams. I just think you guys are full of integrity and you're the same people no matter where you're at. So I put you guys down because I think it's important too, just like everybody else said, that we have the ones that maybe don't know we're following them, but that we also have the ones that we can reach out to and connect with. So
one thing Carrie Williams, she inspires me all the time because she thinks so big. She just, yes, she's in your face. She gets it. She shows up, she works so hard, but she's got a big heart. Being on 3-way calls with her, if you guys haven't, done one recently, maybe just purposefully, just for the sake of even this exercise, just do a 3-way call and figure out a way to do it and just listen and take it in. She's so good at asking questions to people and really meeting them where they are and having either high energy and also before the calls. Tell me about the person. Why are you excited about them? As many details as possible, because she can be completely in their face or she can be, the softest, sweetest, sharing story, but she also casts vision, I think, so well. Even when Sean and I and Carrie have conversations a lot, and just it always is, she's always got great reminders of working so hard now. We were talking about somebody, actually, Issa, we were talking about your new girl, how she was with her the other day and how she really wants this and how, she's this beautiful Black woman and going to come in and create diversion, more diversity in this company. Like, there isn't a ton, but we want it. So you go out and create it. But then showing her, and she was questioning, is it a ton of work because she sees her working? Carrie can go away for months and months and months and months and has needed to for many reasons, but she wants to keep working. Part of Carrie's, and I'm the same way, I love to work. If I'm not working, I'm not doing well. If I'm not busy, my mental state is not good. It's just who I am, and I just love to work. But if I wanted to go away, and we, up until COVID, we do go away for a month. You guys know, we go on our Disney cruises and go to Spain or Africa or whatever. And so she just does a good job of being like, once you build it to that point, it's up to you if you want to keep going, right? And just casting vision. So I love, Tanya, that you mentioned Carrie. Carrie isn't on social media, but she busts her butt every single, and Issa knows because she's in Arizona. She's constantly doing home meetings and constantly doing 3-way calls and meeting with people. Yeah, Issa knows.
She's amazing, you know, Michelle, and she said to me recently, about a month ago, that, you know, she knows that I struggle with being on social media, and she just said to me, Isa, take it back down. Don't forget your warm market. Like, if you tell me that you have a big warm market, go back to your warm market and just build this the way that we did, you know. And so, not that I'm not trying with social media, but I think Carrie's amazing, and I love that she, like you guys, and I mentioned to you yesterday, she's a straight shooter. She left me a voicemail about Akili, and she just said, I'm always going to, you know, shoot straight, but I think she really wants this, and Akili wants to see more people that look like her on the calls, which is cool, you know. So I had Carrie as well. And then I had Carrie Dickey, of course, because I feel the same. I'm really attracted to people that can be really direct with me, because I need that. And I had you guys on the call, on my list, Michelle and Sean. I admire your directness, your mentorship, and then the fact that you do this together, because like a couple other of you, I don't feel like I'm on the same level with personal development as my husband. He used to be more so, and now I'm the one that's like, I went in this morning and I was like, wake up, wake with the sun, you know, and he just looked at me like, you know, so I want that more. Sarah Blakely, I love her. I know her personally, like she's great. Just, she's a goofball and so real, but business advice, she's just so spot on. Lisa Nichols, and I love Lewis Howes. I love the School of Greatness, because then it introduces me to other people that I might want to look into. So I guess I'm noticing, listening to everyone's list, I'm attracted more to people that I watch a lot of people on Instagram and social media, but I think I'm watching more from a learning perspective, more so than mentorship right now, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
And you guys are bringing up a good point. And this is something you're going to have to work through with people as they go through this journey on their own. They're going to fall into one of three categories. The first is their spouse or their partner is doing this with them and on the same level. Their spouse or their partner is not doing it, but is supportive about their journey in doing it and growing, but maybe not there yet. And then you're going to have a group of people that their spouse despises that they're doing this kind of stuff. And our Tony Robbins world really, really magnified that, where towards the end of some people's stuff, their spouse was so against it, 6 months later, they were divorced. And, you know, it's a scary thing, but it's real. We saw it happen over and over and over again, that, you know, there are these varying levels of support people have. And we see that with network marketing in general, but I think it's even more magnified with the personal development journey.
It's interesting you say that, Sean, because David is super supportive of what I'm doing. Super supportive, biggest cheerleader. But he's like, he got up this morning and went outside and was reading a cookbook while he had coffee. And I was like, what are you looking at? And he's like, recipes. Like, he's always, and I'm thinking, why are you thinking about food? Like, let's do this, you know. But it's okay to me right now. And I think that it'll grow. So.
Yep. Yeah, the challenging one is the one that is resentful because of it. That's a really, really difficult one to navigate with people.
And in the sweetie, in the Tony world, it was more, I mean, it was already at that place. Like, they were coming for, what'd you say, Sean? Like, am I going to be in or out? And they were coming for, this is going to be, I'm just going to know, and they're going to answer, and they get up and, you know, sometimes Tony would even interview them, and it would be it. And some people, they were at the brink, but at the flip side, you guys, we have very good friends who were close to divorce, whose relationships now are like, they're teaching on relationships. Like, one lady has a huge, huge business now mentoring relationships, and she came to the relationship event basically to get divorced.
Yeah.
So there's sides to all of that, and it's beautiful, and in the growth. So, and just being sensitive, you know, to all of it, right? Because we are all in different areas and doing different things, and but it is important to also, let them know where we are. Like, this is really important to me. I really want to keep growing. And if if you don't want to do it with me, that's okay. But I just want to share it with you or share certain things with you.
Michelle, can I add something?
Yeah.
Please.
I'm looking at the chat and it makes my heart smile to see other Amy and Tanya and all of you. Everyone on here, Leslie, Susie, everyone's mentioned that they've been there, because it's easy to look at people like you and Sean or the Cunninghams and say, well, gosh, like it would be so amazing to have both of us like running toward this. But I'm really, it makes me feel good to see that other people are there too. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It's growth. And he has grown. I do want to say this has helped him in so many ways, seeing a bigger picture, talking about goals and stuff.
And that example, I think a lot of times will get them more interested in it without forcing them to do it, is just the example of this is what I'm doing. And I would say that's probably the biggest bucket that people find themselves in, is at first it's one spouse or the other. And at different, chapters within it. And it could be, his personal development right now is taking the time to enjoy recipes, and, that's his joy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, it is just a journey. And I think more than anything, it's always just communication, respecting where they're feeling and not, being mad at them because they don't want to wake up when you do, and celebrating. And sometimes when, even with Sean, or I'm like, oh, what about this? Like, I have to go back to our relationship series with Tony, and it's like respecting them where they're at and being raving fans of them in their certain areas. And also we should find those, I've sent them to Tanya before, that what men thrive off of and what men need, what women need. It's like Sean had huge ahas. I did too. And reminding ourselves of what they need, but then also being a raving fan of them. And then it just flows, differently. And then it'll just evolve. I mean, Sean and I, with the whole Tony thing, it started by going to different events. Like, we saw Tony, I had listened to Tony and done things, but then he was at Eric Worre's event, right? So we're at network marketing, and he just grabbed my soul. And I said to Sean, when we got home, I'm like, we're going to go to the next one. And he was like, I don't know how I could sit for 4 days for however 18 hours a day doing that. 4 hours, like, was insane. Like, he was good. Like, but that was like high energy, but he came with me, and because he knew it was important. And it was like on my New Year's resolution. So we went 3 months after that, and then we signed up to be platinum partners suddenly that same first day. And so it didn't just happen overnight. And so that's something that people think too, and can see, right, with us or the Cunninghams or with other people. Like, we've gone through, and we still do, journeys and annoyances. But I think the most important thing, and that is important for Sean and I anyway, is just the communication. And I'll say to him, like, I just want you to know this is how I'm.
Oh, internet problems. Am I frozen?
I hear you, Amy. I see you, Susie, moving.
Michelle is frozen, I think.
The pose are frozen.
Yeah, they've been having internet issues.
With what she was saying too, and like even what Tanya said, oh my goodness, like when I was at my worst, the pose no, because I would message them when we were at our worst in working together through our relationship. And while I'm like personally developing, and I felt like, oh, he's not. It was releasing the expectations on him. And then, like Tanya said, changing my focus. And it took a while, because I feel like I burnt a few bridges with him in the process, for him to like trust me again. And like, I don't have these expectations on you. And it just is what it is. And I want to not let that hold me back, and not let that destroy our relationship. And after some of those shifts, I mean, it's gotten a lot better. Just a mutual respect, I guess.
That's a good word too, because, as I typed what I did in the chat, I was like, man, I'm probably being a little hard on Bill because, I've been doing this for what, 7 years, and he's been in 6 months. That's asking a lot of somebody. Ouch.
No, but it's so good to have that awareness and remember. And I remember when Sean and I, when we were living in Milwaukee, and he was working at one of the banks there, and then he came home, and I'm like, oh, I had been doing mortgage and been doing it out of the house for a long time and for years. And so I knew it, and I had referrals coming in and knew the business inside and out and upside down. I'd call people, and then Sean would come home, and this was 100% new to him, and he started helping with stuff. And you just think like they should be able to just jump in, like, go do this, go do this. And I'm like, okay, step back. We have to remember how we were when we first started all of it, because we all just want to grow together and just be like, don't you see this?
And I think that
Yeah.
speaks to the power of events, you guys too. Like the events have been so powerful for Al to go with me to and see that social proof of what we have and really dig in more. And so that's why I'm really excited for Cabo too, because like going to Cabo will and meeting more people will paint more of a vision too that we have for our goals. It's going to be amazing. But I agree with everything. Like that mutual respect is just good and loving along the way. Big.
I agree, Susie. David did text me yesterday an article about, I don't know, something came up in a feed that he was reading about anti-inflammatory supplements. And it was just so funny. It was all about turmeric. And he goes, you might want to reach out to the author of this and teach her about Protandim. Like, so I guess that he is trying to help in the way that he can, participate in the way he can. Yeah.
I love that. And sometimes it's us that need to tell them what we need. Sean, would you agree to that? I'm looking for that deal. Like what women need, what men need. Okay. So are you talking about the 3 U's, Sean? You're muted. Yeah. So this is one, also I can put this in the chat too. So women, their biggest thing that they don't want to feel is unseen by their spouse, that they're not seen, that they're not understood, and that they're unsafe. And then for men, they don't want to be criticized, which I think we ladies can easily do. They don't want to feel like closed, and they don't want to be controlled. Like those are the things, if you want to, well, Sean, you can speak to that. You're the dude. How does it feel when I criticize you, close off, or try to control you, which I'm guilty of? Honey?
Yes.
How does that feel?
It'll get the exact opposite reaction that you're trying to achieve very quick.
Yeah. And then the same thing for us. Like if I don't feel like he sees me, or if I don't feel like he's understanding or listening or cares about what I'm talking about, and if I don't feel safe regarding anything, it's the same exact thing. So I'll put that in the chat. It's really, really good. And then there's other ways that I'll put in there of how to, the things that they want and the things that how to own a man and how to own a woman. Anyway, this relationship thing was for real, you guys. It was really good in every way.
I read a book very similar to that, and I had to recognize who Grant was and his personality. And there's still days where I really get mad about who he is and his personality. But when I choose to like put that aside and speak to him the way that God designed him to be spoken to, his personality is set up, essentially what this book said is he's set up like a king. And if you treat him like one, he'll treat you as his queen. Yeah. But if you like try to like put him down in any way, like he will just that's just who he is. And I'll never be able to change that. And I found out that, okay, if I like treat you like a little bit different than I want to treat you right now, he responds like a million times different and better. It's insane. Sometimes I just don't want to do it though.
I know, because we're stubborn and we want it our way. I'll send a few of those. So, I mean, obviously it's about mentors and stuff, but this is really important for the journey of life and our relationships through this
Yep.
too.
Well, it's just going to be stuff that will come up as people are going through this process, and you'll have to be able to recognize it and be able to give them feedback on how they can potentially adjust or adapt to it. And the realization is probably bigger than anything. Is like, for me, when Tony had those things up, like it clicked in my head, like, okay, yes, I can completely identify with everything that he just said that men don't like, but it had never really clicked in my head that hers were opposite and that hers were very, very different.
It's
My neck and shoulders and back are killing me, you guys.
Only you had something like a body rub to use.
I know. Downstairs, and I'm grabbing it right after this.
I love looking back at all these pictures in relationship. I'll send some different ones, you guys.
Tanya's asking what mentors Sean and Michelle have. I'm curious too.
Yeah, so I mean, mine have pretty much been the ones that you guys have talked about too. The one on my list that I hadn't heard was Joe Rogan.
Yes, and I know I'm really, it's not as a surprise. Well, I mentioned Emily Avara. Sorry, getting back to my, she was the one that wasn't on that list. I just respect her in so many ways. I mean, she's just, I could go on and on and on about her. Sean Gary Brecka. So when it comes to like fitness, it's a gentleman that's actually we've gotten to know really well, and he's also doing stuff with Grant Cardone, but he's a human biologist, and I absolutely love him and the work that he does. Elena Cardone, I've had a lot of getting to talk to her at Warrior's house, getting to meet her when we went to Miami. And also with Grant, I have, social media, you see different things and whatever, but it's just being there and talking with her. And she's just like, she's on a quest for always wanting to learn more too. And on a quest for her children and Grant do clubhouses. And so those of you with kids, maybe go follow Grant and Elena and their kids. They do like a 10X Kids. And it's cute. Like they bring on their daughter, and then the daughter brings on other kids, and they actually, it's a lot of mindset stuff, and it's super, super cool. So I just love just the power of the woman. And then, how she is okay, because with women, we just want to go out, and there's a lot of powerful, all of you here are just strong, powerful women. And so is Elena, but at the same time, she loves her husband. And I love how she talks about being behind him isn't being behind him that he's better. Like, I'm there to support him when he needs lifted up, and I'm there to see the things that he needs. Like, he'll come home and she calls him out on stuff, like to think bigger, and he needs that, but then they're also equals when it comes to, like, they work out and they call each other out. But I just think that it's really cool, when you were talking about being the king, Amy, and all that, I think that's a lot of maybe Grant and her too, is she sees the things that he needs, but he sees that his queen is there to honor him and to be there to lift him and to just have that stability. I don't know if that makes any sense. We're going to say something. So I really love that. When we were out with Stormy Wellington, she does things very different. I'm not going to go all like that, but I learned a new respect for her with our stuff, when we were out for the most powerful women, having conversations with her, knowing where she came from. You know how you can pick certain things, like I'm not going to do my whole business like she does, but her truths and whatnot, but also her zest for wanting to grow. And she actually was at our 10X event with Grant Cardone a few months ago. And she got up on stage and she was vulnerable as can be with Brandon, who's through this ventures deal that we're all getting to kind of know, Brandon and Natalie. And he called her out, and she was like, she had a lot of like, Oh, and what I really respect about her too is they live streamed her stuff, and they'll live stream her growth phases as well, of her having these aha moments instead of all of her wins all the time. And so I respected that a lot. And so I had her as well. And then just, and I think I mentioned one of my friends, Dawn, who literally she gets up and has no excuses for her workout. She just gets up and she does it, and she is a crazy, crazy, crazy busy woman. But other ones, as you guys know, Tony and Tony Robbins. I had Ed Milet too, Tanya. I know you put him down earlier. I haven't listened to him a ton in the past probably 3 or 4 months, but last year I listened to him a lot, and he is really, really good.
So a couple others that I have that aren't on that list, within network marketing, like Brian Carruthers, not only his network marketing stuff, but also his financial acuity is crazy good. Jordan Adler, I think how he lives life and how he treats people is amazing, amazing, amazing. People that I don't know, Malcolm Gladwell, his books are unbelievable. If you've never read any of his stuff, brilliant, brilliant dude. The two probably that I would suggest people look at to start with would be David and Goliath, and then Outliers. And the concept of it takes 10,000 hours to become professional at something comes from that book, Outliers. And he really goes through specific examples of that happening over and over and over again and what it takes. But David and Goliath is a really good one as well too.
That was actually brought up on our Warrior Mastermind what was it, 2 days ago, that book. Al loves Malcolm.
The Tipping Point's another one of his that's really good.
But again, like these are more of the things, and I think it's good to have these. And then like Tanya was saying, either go back. I mean, we want to follow these rules, but go back to the ones where we're really focused on, right? That's what they mentioned to us. So that's what we want to do. But I love that we're talking about different ones, because we don't always think of certain people, and so it brings like, oh yeah, this is the person that I want to focus on. I mean, even going through PPFs, like I'm still fine tuning mine, you guys, every week. I'm kind of obsessed with it. And even with our account manager this week, I said to him, I said, will you please give me yours? Because he was going to go over it the week before and didn't, just busy. And he went through them, and it was really, really beautiful, and a reminder to me for all of us as we're going through this to continue to share with each other and have your teams share with you, because although he's our mentor and he's our account manager and whatever, he shared all of his goals with us, and our relationship grew tenfold. Because he not just knows ours and is putting them into the system, but now we know his goals and his whys and where he wants to go. And how can we not just be there and him help us? Like, how can we help him now? It's just really, really cool. But getting back to where I was going really with this was, I just wanted to hear more of his stuff, because having more ideas of maybe something that I hadn't thought of that really actually is important to me was helpful. Sean, probably he's a personality that didn't need that. But I like to just hear it, and then if there's something I missed, it's there. All we humans are so different. So. Yes, don't forget 5 favorite books. I know we're at the hour mark, so we want to respect everybody's time. But anything else, Leslie and Susie, we're so excited for this coming week. If there's something that we can do technology-wise or prep wise, just let us know. I think Tanya, I don't know if you guys saw, she just the only thing that she said she wished she would have done was tee up the video a little bit better in the beginning instead of jump into it. And Tanya, before they get going, if there's anything else, just let us know. But anything else, you guys? Yes.
Is one person uploading the homework to the One Person Big Difference group, or is it kind of whoever is leading on Monday night? Are we responsible for uploading it? What are we doing there? If
you guys can upload it, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
And then I think what we were saying is do it immediately after the call. So you can have it kind of ready to go, but then people, just so their focus is there, and then we'll have their expectations, like it'll be there immediately following the call. Give us like 5 minutes, then it'll be there following the call.
And you guys will have a PowerPoint for the activities or the schedule for the week afterwards?
Yes. So do you guys both have Michelle Voris's number?
Yeah.
Or we can all get on a text. So Michelle Voris helps us make sure that we have that for the week. And I'm always messaging her to make sure that something else isn't. So if you can just, the two of you, text her together and say, hey, we're on for Monday. We're the ones, need the PowerPoint. And then she'll make sure. And then if there's little announcements that come up, we just kind of talk. And if there's something else that you want added into the PowerPoint, just let her know. And she works on it through Monday, because sometimes corporate will send something random out that we want to add in there, but she will make sure. So she's your go-to. Thank God. It's a gift. So helpful. Okay. Yay. Okay, you guys, don't forget your 5 favorite books. So maybe let's do that real quick. And I will do that. And love you guys. Thank you so much. Issa, we're happy to see you back. Love you. 10X, baby. Let's go on the day. Wonder Woman. Love you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.